Hello everyone, my name is Anne-Marie, and for my first video I thought I would do my go-to look in the summer. It's very simple to achieve and it's kind of my version of a bronzy, glowy look since I am very fair. And so if you want to see how I achieve this look, then keep watching. First I'll be going in with the Naked Skin Weightless Concealer to prime my eyes for the shadow. I find that this really helps it stay longer and prevents it from creasing, which I have lots of trouble with since I have hooded eyes. So ever since I started doing this particular step, it has really prevented that from happening and helps it stay all day long. Then I go in with the Makeup Forever setting powder to set that concealer. I find that this leaves it very smooth and prevents it from getting tacky, which can make the eyeshadow blend kind of weird and patchy, and no one wants that. After I set that, I will go in and wipe off the excess powder and then go in with a moisturizer to prevent my makeup from settling into any fine lines because I have such dry under eyes. I will be going in with the Tartelette in Bloom palette and starting off with the shade Flower Child, which is such a great transition shade for anyone with fair or pale skin. It's very simple. It's not incredibly dark. It doesn't stand out a lot unless you add a ton. I think it's just such a great shade and I use it for pretty much every single eye look that I do. After the shade Flower Child, I will be using the shade Sweetheart, which is a very pinky mauve toned eyeshadow, which I love. It is one of my favorite colors to use in the summer, and I use this just to kind of add that warmer tone, that pinky tone that I want in there, and blend that out with Flower Child just to give it the shade that I desire. I just keep on blending and making sure everything is nice and smooth and even and there are no harsh lines. The last shade I will be using is Rebel, and this I will just be buffing in on the outer corner area of my lid and just kind of blending that in with Sweetheart just to give the eye a little more dimension and to try to smoke it up just a little bit. I just continue to go back and forth on each eye to make sure they are even and they look the same. Next, I will be going in with the Sigma E56 brush with the shade Funny Girl. This is my favorite sort of pigment shadow to put on my lid. It is so beautiful and it stands out so well. It makes any look so beautiful. I'll be spraying that with some MAC Fix Plus to really get a metallic shine and make sure all of the pigment is being put on my lid and nothing is being left off. I take my sweet time when it comes to putting this on my lid because I want it to look as good as it possibly can, and I really want to make sure that it blends well with my eyeshadow and that there are no harsh, weird lines that make it stand out. I want it all to blend evenly and very nicely. So I really try to go slow through this process and make sure it looks as good as possible. And of course, I have to get up close and personal with the mirror to make sure it looks awesome. Next, I go in with the Lorac Front of the Line Pro Felt Tip Liner. I love this eyeliner because it is so thin and it makes it so easy. And I am not good at applying eyeliner at all, so I am trying to speed through this process and make it go by quick. I love this liner though because it really does make it a lot easier on me and it makes it very hard to go overboard, which I definitely do. After eyeliner, I just go back in with the shades Rebel and Sweetheart just to really bring out the colors and make sure everything is very well blended and there are no harsh lines and that everything blends well, especially with Flower Child because if I don't let that dry in time, it can look bad. Now it is finally time for the face. I will be going in with the Too Faced Primed and Poreless Primer. This is probably my favorite primer when it comes to smoothing and blurring out my pores. I have tried many, and this one does the best for me. I don't see a difference in the long-lasting ish terms of my foundation, but it really does smooth things out very well, and I love how it feels on my face. I've tried the Makeup Forever Skin Equalizer, and that is probably my second favorite. The Professional, I feel like, just doesn't do much for my skin, and the Maybelline Baby Skin, I think, is not my thing. Then I just go in with my Beauty Blender, and today I'm using the L'Oreal True Match Lumi Cushion Foundation, and I believe in the shade W2, which is slightly darker than my face, but I do make sure I really try to blend it down on my neck. I do love this foundation, especially for it being a drugstore foundation. For me though, it is very light coverage, and sometimes I need a little bit more coverage, so I do kind of build. I just realized that there were people in my neighbor's backyard and they were watching me, so cool. Blending out my foundation is a long process, so I really make sure I do it well and really take my time on it. Next, I will be going in with the Amazing Concealer Hydrate in the Naked Skin. Again, I love this amazing concealer. It is very hydrating on the under eye area. It does not crease and it does not settle into my fine lines, which I always have trouble with. I have very dry under eyes, so when I saw this, I freaked out and got it immediately, and so far I've been loving it. I do go in, however, with the Naked Skin in Fair Neutral, just because I feel like it is a little bit lighter and it highlights, which I really like in the summertime, is a highlighted under eye and a highlighted face. So I do put some on my chin, my nose, and my forehead just to even it out, and so I don't have a really bright under eye and then not really match anything else on my face. So I just go in and blend that out with my damp beauty blender on both eyes and really make sure it blends in well with my foundation. And then I do go in a little bit later and blend out my chin and my nose and my forehead and make sure it's all seamless with my foundation and looks very even. I have tried many different concealers and I do not love any as much as I love these two. I did try the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer, which I have heard people rave about, and I did like it, but I feel like it was just too thick for my personal preference. After I blend all that out, I go in with my Laura Mercier translucent powder and set my under eyes very lightly with that. If I go in too heavy, it's very drying on the under eye area, so I really try to go in with as little as possible, and that typically does the trick pretty well for me. It doesn't make anything settle. It makes it still very hydrated, which I like. I go in and set any area that I had with concealer, just because even though this product claims to be translucent, it does give off some sort of color, and so I want to make sure any areas I set match each other, and so I just go in and set that concealer. For the rest of my face, I'll use the Makeup Forever powder. I don't like this powder for the under eye area. I feel like it emphasizes every single line, but I love it for the rest of my face because I feel like it is so smoothing. It leaves my skin feeling so soft, and it does not feel tacky. It doesn't feel like I have makeup on. It gives such a nice finish. So I use it on my face, but not under my eye. Excuse my little jam sesh here. I was listening to some Beyonce, and y'all know you gotta dance. Next, I go in with the Hoola bronzer. This is my favorite bronzer, especially since I have very fair skin. It is not too dark, and it really warms up the face, which I love. Before this bronzer, I used the one out of the Anastasia contour kit, and I feel like it was just a little too cool tone for my skin, and so I bought this one, and I have been in love. So then I'll go in with a bigger brush just to warm up the temples a little bit. I do love this brush for this specifically just because I feel like it really blends things out nicely and does not put too much product on, so it's very hard to go overboard with it, and it makes it very easy to blend and build. So I love this brush for exactly what I'm doing. I'll just go in and kind of make sure everything is blended out and kind of warm up my cheeks too. Make sure nothing is splotchy or patchy, and make sure it all blends out very nicely and very evenly. I will be using the Jaclyn Hill face palette, and y'all, I cried a little bit when this thing came in the mail. I was so excited to get it, could not wait to get my hands on it, and so now I am so glad I have it and I use it every day. I go in with the blush Pamplemousse. This is very, very pigmented, so I do wipe 90% of it off on my hand before I go in with it because it is crazy pigmented and it can look a little bit too much. So I like to wipe off a lot just to make sure I don't go overboard. I really, really try to make sure I blend that out with my bronzer so everything looks a little seamless. But today, something was going on with my skin and it makes my blush look very patchy and weird. I don't quite know what was going on. My skin was very red, I guess, and just kind of showed through everything I was putting on my face. So if my blush or bronzer looks patchy, it is just my skin underneath. I don't know what was going on. Then I go in, I mix Champagne Pop and Prosecco Pop to highlight. This is my everyday highlight. I love both of them together. I am crazy about highlight right now. I go a little overboard, but that's okay. I love to highlight my whole face. I love a luminous glow, especially for a summer look. Next, I use the Anastasia Brow Pomade in the shade Blonde. And I'm kind of going to speed through this process because it takes me a long stinking time to do this. And today I had a little bit of trouble. So I'm just kind of going to go fast and not show you every little thing because I had some trouble with these things today. They were being very, very hard to work with. I used to use the Brow Wiz before I got the pomade, and I do like the pomade a little bit more. I feel like it is a little bit easier than the Wiz. After my brows are done, I just have a little moment of disgust for my skin because it was going crazy and my face did not look good today. And of course, I just continue to stare at it because I'm obviously not going to do anything about it. My last little step is to go in with the L'Oreal Voluminous Carbon Black Mascara. This is my absolute favorite mascara ever. I don't use falsies normally because one, I am awful at applying them, and two, my lashes are pretty long and curly as they are, so I'm normally pretty satisfied with how they look with just mascara, and I hardly ever feel the need to add any falsies because those things are hard. So at this point, I actually decided to try to fix the redness a little bit and go in and just kind of try to carve out what I did with my bronzer, thinking maybe it'll cover up the redness, maybe it'll control it a little bit. It didn't do much, but hey, I tried. For lips today, I will be going in with two liquid lipsticks. The first is from Anastasia in the shade Dolce, I don't know how to say it. I do love this color, but I feel like it's a little too coral orangey for me. So I do end up mixing it, and I have the perfect shade after I mix it. It is my absolute favorite, and I am just now starting to get into wearing lipsticks. So I am experimenting and figuring out what I really like. What I use to mix it with is the Kat Von D liquid lipstick. I think it's the shade Lovesick. I do love this as well. It is a little too purple tone for me, so that is also why I mix it with this, and together they make the perfect lip color that I love. It is my go-to. Once I finish, I will give a little duck face to show off the color, and then we'll go in and try to wipe off the powder I used to attempt to control the redness. It didn't work. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I will see you all very, very soon. Bye guys.